pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comment. Patrons are given the opportunity to address the school board regarding items that are not on the agenda. All patrons will be asked to state their name for the record. While the board appreciates feedback from the public in this forum, board members will not comment on or discuss topics brought up by speakers at this time. Is there anyone here for public comment? Anyone here for public comment? Anyone here for public comment? All right, there being no one, we will move on to our program review, which we have the Truth and Taxation hearing with Miss Mary Reeder, our business manager.
All right, thank you very much. This will be our annual Truth and Taxation hearing that we are required by statute to present to our public each year. So we will go ahead and get started. Our agenda for today is to look at the levy certification recommendations, an analysis of the 25 pay 26 levy, as well as looking at the budget summaries for last school year 24-25 and the current school year 25-26. And I'll take any questions at the end. I always like to show our operating referendum revenue comparison. Last year we certified at $634.07 per student. Due to the inflation factor figured onto our operating referendum that was passed, this year you're going to be certifying at $652.47 per student. The average, state average for operating referendums is almost $1,500, which is over 2 times higher than what Delano is at. So local property tax levies, they're set by state of Minnesota, statutorily defines the formulas. Most of them are set by pupil units. Also, some are very specific for capital LTFM. Those are more specific expenditure types, population, voter authorization, and property valuations. So this is the last year, our levy was at a little over $11 million. We're actually going down almost $130,000 this year. So we're going to be certifying at a little under 11 million, almost 10.9 million. So we did go down 1.17%. The biggest factors related to that, the general fund went down a little over 56,000. Operating referendum revenue increased due to the inflation, but overall the levy decreased. But a big portion of that, we had got some large adjustments last year in abatements that were not in place on this year. So just because we didn't have large increases like last year brings it down. Community service, same thing. They're decreasing a little over 56,000. We had a large childcare, school-age childcare adjustment last year that we don't have in place this year. And then also they have a couple components that are going to be covered more by state aid than by the levy. And debt service, that goes up or down just based on our required amounts needed for our bond payments. And if we have a higher fund balance, everything just kind of gets brought down each year. Budget comparisons, we'll look at last school year compared to this one. And last year, our unassigned fund balance did go up a little bit, a little over $83,000. But overall, it did decrease. But we did put a new phone system in last year, as well as some. We got Tiger Drive repaved, so we did some LTFM projects. Food service remained about the same. It increased $495. Community service fund did increase a little over $250,000, but that was due to increased participation in many of their programs. And debt service increased $104,000, but again, the state monitors our fund balance and they decrease it through the levy process if we are carrying more than the 105% required. FY26, we just did our big budget revision, so our unassigned fund balance, we're still projecting to deficit spend a little under $400,000 for that. The state did increase the gen ed aid formula by 2.74%, and overall, which our operating general fund, which includes capital and LTFM, is going to decrease by almost 1.8 million, but a lot of that has to do with our more LTFM type projects that we have going on. We did and some capital things. We purchased math curriculum for $300,000. We did a special ed area reconfiguration over at the intermediate school, just a couple of the things that are taking place this year. Food service, we are deficit spending that fund balance by $400,000, which was anticipated. We needed to bring that fund balance down, but we put new equipment in both the elementary and the high school buildings this year. Community ed service, right now we're looking that it's going to increase its fund balance by $325,000. We're going to be looking at that a little closer. We know that some of the program, the revenue might be going down a little bit, just below what we had anticipated due to numbers not being as high as they were last year, but Abby and I will be working on that over the next month or two as we look at moving forward for next year. And debt service, it's projected to decrease almost 50,000, but that's just because we're taking in less revenue, and less revenue is needed for bond payments in this current school year. And I'll take any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. This section of the agenda has a variety of different reports and minutes from prior meetings. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Depa will first.
Second.
Second by Black. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the resolution of the acceptance of gifts. The following organizations have generously donated for the funds designated below. DIS Pi, $1,830 for the 5th grade BizTown, $285 for Jake Olson's Math Fact Lab, $1,100 for Bucket Golf, Basketball Booster Club, $5,788.13 for Booster Paid Girls Basketball Coach, and Delano Boosters, $6,326.21 for 2 Booster Paid Dance Coaches. As mentioned, all of these organizations have generously given the proceeds for the items designated. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, and this is a roll call vote.
I missed, who said it first?
I did. Brian did.
Sorry.
Sarah.
Thank you. Ms. Roser?
Aye.
Ms. Depa? Aye. Mr. Black?
Aye.
Mr. Gerke? Mr. Schaust?
Aye.
Ms. Baker? Aye. Thank you very much.
Right. Motion carries. Next item is the Personnel Matters Report. It's a relatively small report for the month of December. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the personnel agenda. Report.
Depa?
Depa first. We have a second?
Schaust.
Schaust second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries to approve the Personnel Matters Report for this month. Next up are our administrative reports. First on up is Superintendent Shane.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'll be very brief. I have just 2 major topics to cover with you. We did discuss this at our work session, but I wanted to make sure that our community knows that we are going to start in earnest to investigate options for our community ed building. I've proposed to the board that next month at our January work session, take a little bit of a deeper dive. I'm going to be meeting with the task force the second week I'm going to be meeting with architects from Wold, take a look at some conceptual ideas of how this would look like in the second week of January. The third week of January, the task force is going to meet with Wold to kind of go through some visual optics of what conceptually this could look like. That will give us more details and prepare to bring to you, which will also be a proposed type timeline too of how do we get to certain stages to keep this moving, to keep it going, because we definitely know that there's motivation to do this because of the current state of the building. So I propose that we'll do that and we'll start in earnest the first month in 2026. We also are just finishing up feedback processes for 2 key leadership positions in the district. I will be finishing feedback processes for both the Director of Finance and Operations and the new high school principal. That will be completed this week. And then we will post, and we're going to stagger the two postings by about a week or so, just so we can keep pace and not doubled up in certain areas. It'll be an extensive process that we've used before with a few changes here and there. But we will post the high school principal position probably by the week of January 5, the first week we come back, and then potentially the second or third week for the director of operations or director of finance and operations. So we stagger it along. So over the break, I'll be working on organizing site interview teams, questions, all based by the profile that we've developed or we'll finish developing this week, because we'll get all the feedback that we have from our constituents. Surveys went out last week to both students and parents, and we included a listening session with sixth grade students too. Took a little sample from each section of sixth grade and did a listening session there right at the beginning of school last week as well. So those are my two major areas that I'd like to update the board. Entertain any questions.
Matt? Great. Okay. Next up are our principals. First up, Ms. Thompson.
Perfect.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for having me this evening to present to you on behalf of the intermediate school, and thank you for allowing me to be in two places at once this evening. I was enjoying the melodious sounds of the seventh grade band. Ms. Schultz was kind enough to text me, so I knew when to come down. So I'll share with you a little bit what is happening at the intermediate school. For our site-based update, the topic that we're working on right now at site-based is looking at our conferences. And I think you guys were talking about that a little bit at the work session as well, or it came up last month when I wasn't here. So I'll share with you a little bit some of the things that we're looking at the intermediate schools, some tweaks and changes we're considering. The first thing that we've been talking about just has to do with, we kind of were getting going round and round about the changes we might make. And we decided we needed to take a step back and talk about, well, what do we see as the purpose of our conferences still? Do we still see it primarily as just that academic update, knowing now that parents have a lot of access to Skyward, email, all of those things? Do we want to make it more of just a broader parent engagement opportunity? So we kind of backed up and we're starting there just to look at getting input on what we want our conferences to prioritize. And then from there, looking at the time we have, do we have enough time? And then does the format allow us to accomplish what we want to accomplish, knowing that, what our priority is? So we're just having a lot of good conversation about that. Our grade level teams are having that conversation in grade level teams. We're doing some surveying of parents. I reached out to some area principals in my principal PLC to talk about and find out how they do their conferences, what formats do they use, what have they found to be successful, some of the things that they're doing. So we're just spending some time really this month, next month, doing some research, trying to find out what's the best fit, how we can best connect with our parents. Parent engagement is something at the intermediate school that I've always kind of struggled with. It's just an interesting age. Parents still really want to be involved. Teachers don't need as much in the area of parent volunteers. It's a transition to the high school. So it's always been an area of growth for us. So it's just a good conversation that we're having right now. We'll continue our team discussions. I'm going to keep our parent survey in our parent newsletter for a few weeks. We'll look at that input and some of those things. So that's kind of our main topic of conversation at site-based right now. And then for professional development, we have an early release this week. It's going to look very similar to our other early releases. We have letters training, curriculum work that our teachers are working on, and then some vertical teaming for our specialist groups. For our MTSS, we are coming up on our next window for universal screening. That's happening in January. When kids come back to school, we'll do our fast screening again in reading and math. That's always a good time to check in and see if our kids are still making the progress we're hoping that they're making. If they're not, to kind of make adjustments to our interventions. So it's a really important window for us. And then finally, just some events happening the last week before break. Obviously, just some small, it's not a lot. We try to keep it, it's the last week before break. We have some door decorating going on. Our student council is serving some hot cocoa to everyone on Friday morning. Some dress-up days, but nothing too crazy, nothing like Adam Sandler coming to the high school tomorrow. So that sounds fun. But we're not doing anything too crazy like that, trying to keep it low-key, but the energy is definitely there as we head into the break. So that is what's happening at the intermediate school. Questions or comments for us?
Questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Voigt?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. It's a pleasure to speak with you on behalf of the high school. I'd like to open my report with recognition of two of our seniors, Kaya Georges and Luca Gilliland. They were recently named as our AAA award winners for Delano High School. So AAA is for success in the arts, academics, and athletics. So we had two very, very highly qualified individuals that were recognized in this year. They will receive their awards in January down at Gustavus for our region, and then they'll also be compared to the other region nominees and see if they move on to the state level. So congratulations to them. I also just want to recognize actually all of the students and staff at the high school. I can't really say it's a record for sure, but I got to believe it's a record. This trimester one, we only had 7 students in all of grades 9 through 12 that received 1 F on their report card. So 7 students accounted for 9 Fs total for trimester one. That's got to be some sort of record. None of the students in 9th or 10th grade had any sort of F or U on their report card for trimester one. So I think, it's just evidence of the fact that we have really hardworking kids, we have really hardworking teachers, and our teachers, I think, are really effectively utilizing our win time, so that's paying off. Just for a little bit of context, last year we had 70 during trimester one, and the year before that we had 70 at trimester one. So this year, as I said, we had 9. The 70 is my report number. When I reported our number this year, that was 19. That's also some evidence I talked about before about how students, when they're experiencing some adversity, they withdraw. So that 19 number includes students who are no longer enrolled at Delano High School. They have chosen to go online or wherever. So of active students, 7 students, 9 Fs. That's phenomenal. The only other thing I wanted to report was that our site-based team is meeting tomorrow morning, and we are going to be finalizing our registration guide so that when we return from break, we're going to go full steam ahead with registration. And our expectation this year is that we're going to produce our informational sessions via video. That way it's going to be a little bit more accessible for parents. They don't have to necessarily change their schedules to attend a meeting, and then everybody can hear the same information and access it at their own time. So that's all I have for the high school. I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Thank you, Mr. Voigt. Next, Ms. Schultz.
Good evening, everybody. Happy to be here on behalf of the elementary school. I have also a brief report, but I'm excited to share a little bit of data with you. Last month, we did not have all of our SABRS information in, and we have that in. So there's 4 areas. There's a behavior composite, which kind of culminates the academic, the social, and the emotional, and kind of puts a score on it, if you will. And 90% of our students are in the low risk for that behavior composite, which is great. For the academic behavior, there's 85% in low risk, and emotional behavior, 85%, and social behavior, 80%. So feeling pretty good about where our students are coming in with that social emotional piece. Then the next area would be that some risk, and we have a range between 16% and 7% within those categories. So the kids that are noted as that high risk area, very, very small percentage, and those we have as many services as we can, working for those kids. So a lot of those kids either have an IEP where they're getting specialized services. They're working with Janelle Olson, our social worker. We have 2 behavior ADSIS paras, so they're assigned to them. So we feel really good about the supports that we have for the kids in the high risk. And a large majority of the kids that are in that some risk are receiving either our Tier 2 services with Janelle Olson, our social worker, or Holly and Carrie as well. So that is our SABRS data. If you have any questions, let me know about that. 2 other data pieces that I wanted to share. Last year, December, at this time, we had 157 log discipline referrals. So I wanted to do a little, comparison. And as you can maybe see by my tone, I'm pleasantly surprised that this year in December, we have 95. So, it's not like we're ever going to have none. So the most common would be like our disruptive, we have some physical stuff, but that to me is all very developmental of this age group. So they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out what's okay, what's not okay. Verbal processing versus just like, you're kind of in my space. A little shove once in a while, but those are all things that we skill build in a lot of our classes at that tier 1. So it's great to see that there's a decrease in that number. I think that also is reflective of some of the Sabres information, so it's all kind of lined up nicely. And then just a quick update on our attendance rate. We are sitting at about a 95% attendance rate. So our kids are at school, and we love that's where they're at. So we hope that trend continues as well. In addition to reviewing some of that data, we have 2 new paras that started recently, so we're excited to feel that. It feels really good to have all the kids getting their needs met with that regard. So it was a little trying time to get those all squared away, but that feels really good. And then in our next site-based meeting in January, we are looking at our master schedule review, trying to make sure we have the common times in there that we need for our grade levels. Looking at the MDE composite screening as we get that started. So that's just sort of the READ Act information. That's what is in our local literacy plan as well. So Lindsay Westfall and Monica Kunkel have done a really nice job putting together all the data and the thresholds in EduClimber so that they can give us these really great graphs and spreadsheets very easily. I don't know how much work it took on their end, but as the receiver of that information, it is very slick and it's great to see. So summer school and ESY planning comes quickly. So January and February, we start to get that stuff going right away. Just those initial, who do we have for staff? What are we looking at for numbers? So that all starts really early. And then our math curriculum implementation plans, looking at what that's going to look like for the upcoming year. We're rounding out the end of this week with our sing-along, and Pi is bringing in cookies for our staff. So that is all I have for a report for you today. Any questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
On the agenda is our business manager, Mary.
I will be very brief. We did a big update last month on our FY26 budget. I've now started working on FY27. So the plan is to meet with our ELT in January, early February, and then also have a finance committee meeting probably end of February, mid-March. And then we will bring it the preliminary to the board maybe in April, but for sure in May work session, and then it'll be approved by the board in June. So still hoping to be positive fund balance going out into the next fiscal year, but I'm hopeful and thinking that we're going to be on the right track. So thank you.
Community ed, Ms. Abby Lang.
Evening again. Being that everybody has been so brief, I feel like I have time and we can do a deep dive. Yes. Mary is my new hero with her concise report, so I will try to be more like you. This year, during Old Fashioned Christmas, ECFE held a Santa's Workshop and Holiday Boutique. Both were very highly successful. This is an annual program. Santa's Workshop is free to families. Staff counted over 500 people coming through the doors. This originally started a couple years ago at just 1 hour. It is now expanded to 3 hours. At 3 hours, they were still ushering people through. Santa will not leave until he sees every student, so he was there till almost 1. The boutique was a very large success as well, with it being sold out, even having a few vendors in the hallway to meet those needs. So another great event. Winter spring registration opens tomorrow at 6 a.m. That being said, we are officially looking forward, planning purpose-wise, to summer. The 26-27 preschool registration and summer TKC registration will open very quickly here at the beginning of February, which may sound like a long ways away, but considering the new year is right around the corner, we'll be doing some marketing and communications. As a leadership team, we ran an IROD process and decided that the pros outweigh the cons of offering TKC at the summer session at the CE building again. So we will be doing that as we did this past summer. We're looking forward to winter break. TKC will be open Monday, Tuesday, both next week and the week after. We have a number of internal projects that we're working on, so staff's excited to kind of carve out some time and dedicate to that. Wrapping up, staff just completed entering the data for our fall preschool assessment. So our TS Gold information is now all in the computer, and staff are looking to carve out some time to assess that data and look at where our students are at in comparison to where we want to be in the spring. Cheers to 26. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our student board reps.
All right, well, I'll start us out with the high school. First up, the old-fashioned Christmas event was a big success. Many NHS students participated by playing different characters, and well, everyone enjoyed the experience, and I personally played Aladdin, and it was great. Additionally, the NHS has bingo coming up this Thursday, and so this event is something students are looking forward to, and it's a great way for NHS students to gather and celebrate the season. And last up, students recently submitted a survey regarding the search for a new principal. This gave students the opportunity to share their thoughts and input in the decision-making process.
Thanks, Brady.
For the high school, I personally was really disappointed that Brady didn't share a picture of him being Aladdin with the board, but maybe next year. For the intermediate school, one upcoming item to share is that NHS members from the high school are participating in the hot cocoa handout. We helped last year, and it was honestly just really such a fun morning. We got to hear all the music playing. We got to help the kiddos with mainly the hot water and just the things that, sixth graders don't have the best time handling. So we have about 10 volunteers coming up there, and we've been in contact with the Intermediate Student Council. And for the intermediate school, Brady and I unfortunately haven't been able to get down and volunteer in classrooms, but a few NHS members have mentioned to me that they've either signed up or have volunteered. So it's really nice to hear that the spreadsheet is up and running and in action. And yeah, we'll just keep working on that. I think that's all we have. Do you have any questions for us this month? All right.
Thank you very much. Next are our board reports. First up is Masiko. Sarah.
Our November meeting happened 2 weeks ago in December. We were postponed due to the weather. We ratified the Ed Minnesota agreement with Masiko staff. It's probably the biggest item. We reviewed the audit, and Masiko received a good report on the audit. We had some discussion about fund balance. I've talked about this before, but the finances of Masiko as a special ed district it's very convoluted, and it doesn't always work exactly like a independent school district. So we had some deeper dive questions into the budget and the fund balance. And then there was a proposal brought forward to increase the short call sub and para sub rate of pay, but we wanted some more information. So our December meeting is tomorrow night, so we're going to be looking at some more information related to that. Finding substitutes in classrooms and for paras, as it's difficult everywhere, is even more difficult in a place like Masiko. So we want to make sure we are being financially responsible and also being able to support students on a daily basis in their educational settings. Thanks.
Next up, Right Tech. I don't know if
Yeah, I've got a note here. I thought I forwarded the minutes to Bobby, but I'll make sure the next two get on the next
okay.
agenda. I know that the construction is in full swing and the house is almost done. And I know that literally a cabin is literally perfect for that, or actually a full house, but other than that, just really standard things. But I'll make sure that the minutes get on there for next.
Thanks, Jim. Next, Rachel's Safe Schools meeting.
So Safe Schools had their meeting, it was last week actually, here. We discussed our emergencies procedures a little more in depth. Tried truancy at Delano is down. The new K-12 health standards have been released, so we're looking at those. The driving simulator and the seatbelt convincer have been reserved for Delano for right before prom. And I Love You Guys train at St. Michael Schools. That'll be free to all districts. CRG will be mapping all schools across the state for law enforcement to help with emergency responses. That will be kept away from like random people, but law enforcement will have access to every school. We talked about resources for our 17 and older students with attendance issues and what's available to them service-wise, things like using Central Minnesota Jobs as a resource. SAF isn't on here, Matt, but they also met. Do you want me to cover that?
Yeah, you can. That's right. We had our meeting last Friday.
Well, SAF met on Friday, which is another group, and so we discussed a variety of revenue-related topics, the budget topics. One area that parents probably are most interested in is they're looking at legislation that would require parents to pay the cost for PSEO students if they drop out. And so that argument is that the bill should not remain on the district because we're still educating the student if they drop out of their PSEO classes. So it's a double cost and expenditure to the school. They discussed the statewide no cell phone law for schools and the possibility of arguing for schools being exempt from the paid medical leave laws that are enacted right now, amongst other things. So those are kind of the big highlights.
Pretty full report. Thank you, Rachel. Next item, there isn't any old business, so we'll move into new business. First item under new business is to approve and certify the final 2025 Pay 2026 Levy Limitation and Certification Report.
So we're going to be certifying $10,884,032.47 this year compared to the little over 11 million that it was last year.
Great. Any other questions for Mary on that? I know we've talked about this previously. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve this, the levy limitation and certification report.
Depa?
Depa will first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Baker to second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the 2025 Pay 2026 Levy Limitation and Certification Report is approved. Next item on the agenda is to approve January 5th, 2026 as the date for the school board organizational meeting. The meeting will begin at 5 p.m. in the district training room.
Has that always been at 5?
We moved it last year to 5.
It worked?
It used to be 7,
I like 5.
and we moved it to 5, and it's relatively short.
And not related, but then the admin meeting is at 6?
Correct.
Sorry.
Or right after.
Okay, thank you. I would have been really late for both of those.
At 5:05, you're going to message us and tell us to leave here and come down there.
Yes.
Yeah.
District training room.
I'll make a motion to
All right,
approve that.
thanks for the motion. Ryan, do we have a second?
Second, Jim.
Second by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries for the date and time of the organizational meeting for 2026. Next item on the agenda is to approve the 2026-2027 school board calendar. This was brought forth and discussed last month, and so this, again, has a very robust process within the district to work with different stakeholders and constituents to arrive at the calendar. Anything else you want to add? If not, entertain a motion to approve the 2026-2027 calendar. Choust, motions by Soust. Any, or a second?
I'll second.
Second by Black. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Fabulous. Motion carries to approve the 2026-2027 calendar. Next item is to approve the language access plan for the 2026-2027 school year. This plan was brought before us last month, and we had a discussion with
Ashley Johnson.
Ashley Johnson at that time, who developed it. Do I have a motion to approve? Depa made the motion. Do we have a second? Second by Sarah. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The language access plan for the 2026-2027 school year is approved. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do we have a motion by Jim to, and second by Corey, and all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Nice work.